This is Fighting for What's Right. I'm Pam Jones, here with personal injury attorney Barry Doyle. So Barry, what is a deposition?
A deposition is a question and answer session with the other lawyer. Typically it's held in a conference room. There will be myself, the client, the defense lawyer, and a court reporter. The court reporter will swear you in just like they do in court. Technically, the party who's being sued has a right to be at the deposition. It's something that very rarely happens. But basically what it comes down to is it's this question and answer session where half of the game that's being played is that the defense lawyer wants to find out what happened, wants to find out what your story is, but then the other half of the game that's being played, and really what's the most important part of the game that's being played, is they're sizing you up as a witness. They want to be able to look in your eyes, they want to hear the sound of your voice, they want to see how you react to different questions that are being asked, they want to see how well you're able to explain how your injuries have affected you, and they're really trying to get that sense is, are you the kind of person who a jury is going to like and is going to want to help?
And would you get to be there? Let's say I was your client. Would you get to be there when the opposing side questions me?
Yeah, absolutely. I would be sitting next to you while this is going on, but before we walk into that conference room, typically what I do is I will have the client in for anywhere from 4 hours to significantly longer to get them ready so that they understand the kinds of questions that are being asked, so that they understand some of the better ways of trying to respond to them, just in terms of like how they verbalize different concepts, different ideas, how they explain what happened. But also so that they understand this game that's being played, and that they understand that it doesn't do them a lot of good to lose their temper with the other lawyer. Those are things that cost them points in the long run, and this preparation process is something that I invest a lot of time and energy in. I actually probably spend more time preparing the client than the actual deposition lasts. There's a 3-hour time limit on depositions. Typically the process runs an hour and a half to a little over 2 hours. I will spend really a minimum of 3.5 hours getting clients ready for the deposition. I had one case where I spent a grand total of about 16 hours over 4 days getting somebody ready for a deposition. It was a case that was very complicated to explain. He had some difficult legal issues that went along with this case, some difficult medical issues, and he did very, very well when it was all said and done, and the investment of time and energy that I put into getting him ready was entirely worth it. But it's important to me that for the client that this is something that they do well, that they feel good about going into, because 97% of all cases get settled somewhere short of going to trial. And if your case is one of that 97% that's going to get settled somewhere short of going to trial, then this is your big moment in the spotlight in the sort of the life of your case.
So then you talked about it can take a lot of time to prepare. Do you ask a lot of questions when your client is deposed?
Typically not. It's the defense lawyer's deposition. If things go really, really well, I don't ask my clients any questions at all. Most often, I ask very few questions, because once I ask a question, that opens up the door for the other lawyer to go back and ask more questions. So when I ask questions, there are really only two kinds of questions that I typically ask. One is a question to clear something up. In other words, there's something that came out that wasn't as clear as I'd like it to be, and it's simply a matter of clarification. Other times there are things that are really important to the client in terms of the damages portion of their case, and the defense lawyer didn't ask the right kinds of questions to touch on that, in which case I just kind of throw it open for the client to explain that. And a lot of times that's a part of the deposition that's really impactful in terms of trying to help the client get maximum settlement value on their case, because once the deposition is done, the defense lawyer is going to write a report to the insurance company, and it's going to include that information, including how well the client came off, which is why it's important for me to make sure that the client does a good job. But then also I want to make sure that the stuff that's important to the client in terms of the damages portion of the case comes out, so that that's one of the variables that the insurance company is thinking about when they try to evaluate a case for what are they willing to pay in the way of settlement.
Thanks, Barry. This is Fighting for What's Right with personal injury attorney Barry Doyle. For more information, visit our website at www.fightingforwhat'sright.com.